being September, there's all kinds of curriculum stuff coming out. My email inbox is full from companies offering their curriculum for confirmation, youth group, and all that kind of stuff. And in one of those I was looking at, it had a do's and don'ts list of what to do and what not to do when you talk to teenagers about Bible and faith and that kind of stuff. And it was actually really good. And one of the things it said in it was that if you come across a question, if a teenager asks you a question and you don't know the answer to it, a perfectly acceptable answer is, I don't know. And on the one hand, yes, absolutely. It is far better to say to a teenager, I don't know, than to lie. But it's not the best answer, I don't think. And that was what I want to talk real quickly about today. I don't think that's the best answer, and here's why. There's the old adage, right? If you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach a man a fish, he eats for a lifetime, right? Now, that's people aren't necessarily the biggest fans. They don't like. There's economic implications, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something deeper than that, right? No teenager randomly decides to ask. Most teenagers don't randomly decide to ask an adult a theological question. There's usually a thought process that's gone into it. There's something behind it, right? So maybe a grandparent's dying. Maybe they have friends who aren't Christian. Maybe they have a pet who's dying. Maybe they're dealing with a hard time. Maybe mom and dad are getting a divorce, right? There could be any number of things going on in their life, good, bad, or ugly, that are precipitating them asking a question. And what I always want to find out is, what's the thought process? What's the question behind the question? What's gone on before they finally have asked me that question? And here's why. Paul in Romans says that we are to be transformed by the what? By the renewing of our mind, right? A big part of teaching people, not just kids, teaching people to live lives of faith is teaching them to think differently, right? So if we just give kids answers, if we just say things like, I don't know, or, well, here's what I think, we're not helping them learn to think. We're giving them answers, right? It's the equivalent of basically giving them a fish instead of teaching them to fish. And I always want to know what's in that thought process. What's going on inside that brain? How did they get there? What's going on? And in my experience, sometimes I've asked this question, and, so what do you think, right? In fact, amongst kids and now young adults who've worked with me, I'm notorious for this. Like, don't ask Brian a question, he'll just make you answer it. And that's true. I want to know what you're thinking. I have opinions, I have thoughts, of course, but I want to know what you're thinking. Two things have happened. On the one hand, sometimes you find out this really is just a kid who has an abstract thought, who's come across something and is like, hey, I'm wondering about this. But often it turns from a theological question to the pastoral question, right? Suddenly, instead of talking about what Jesus said here, you're finding out that mom and dad are going through a divorce. You're finding out that they're having a hard time with a friend, that there's a relationship that's going south, that a grandparent's dying. Suddenly, what seemed like a kind of an off-the-wall theological question is actually a personal pastoral question that has implications for their lives and how they think and how they live. And that's why I don't think I don't know is the best answer. I don't know kind of shuts it down, right? And if you say, I don't know, what do you think? It's basically saying, I don't know, well, give it your best shot. So I would even say, don't even say, I don't know. Find out what they're asking, right? Maybe you don't have a clue, right? Maybe the question is, so do other religions believe in Noah's flood, right? And you, I don't know. Still, I would say to them, well, what makes you ask that? It may be just that they're blindly curious, right? Or it may be a question like this, well, I don't know. I mean, that seems pretty harsh, to be honest. That God would kill everyone and flood the whole world. I'm just wondering, is like Christianity the only religion that believes in this, or do others have this too, right? You find out that there's something more behind that question than just what is on the surface. So that's what I would say. Yeah, I don't know is a great answer, but maybe even a better answer is, what do you think? Because you might find out as you engage in that, you end up in a place you never thought, because you're beginning to get into the thought process of a teenager. And those have been some of the most productive conversations that I've ever had, have been ones where I've said, so what do you think? And engaged in that conversation and figured out how they were thinking and helped them shape how they were thinking about the subject rather than just giving them, here's my 2-second answer, or here's my I don't know. So hopefully you find that helpful. I know for a lot of you, you're starting off, it's fall here on the East Coast, and schools are back in session, youth groups are starting up, confirmation classes are starting up, and all that kind of stuff. So blessings on that week, and may you ask kids, so what do you think, and see where it leads you. Take care, and God bless.